It is 3:30 in the morning in Holmes County, Ohio, and a woman is already awake. Not because an alarm went off. Her body just knows. She pulls on her boots in the dark, walks out past the woodpile, and by the time the sky over the barn roof turns the color of a bruise, she has already fed the stock, filled the water troughs by hand, and started the milking. No treadmill, no trainer, no protein shake waiting in the refrigerator, because there is no refrigerator, not the electric kind anyway. And when researchers finally strapped pedometers to men and women living exactly this way, what they found broke every assumption about how a body is supposed to stay lean. Old order Amish men were logging over 18,000 steps a day. Amish women, over 14,000. The average American adult, according to National Pedometer data, barely clears 5,000. That is not a diet. That is not a supplement. That is a whole day built without anyone deciding it on purpose, so that sitting still was never really an option. If you had a grandmother who hung wash on a line, or a grandfather who walked to a schoolhouse instead of waiting for a bus, you already know where this is going. They never counted their steps. Their days counted them instead. 15 ways a life without a gym still outworked a gym. Let's start at the top. Number 15. Harvest. Picture a field of corn or wheat stretching further than a porch light could ever reach, and a family working it from the gray of early morning until the light gives out. In old order communities that still avoid tractors, harvest is done with horse-drawn equipment and a great many hands, not one machine and one driver. The trick, if you can call it that, is that nobody works harvest alone. Neighbors trade days. A family finishes one farm this week and moves to the next the week after. So the hardest physical stretch of the year is spread across a whole community instead of burning out one back. There is no harvest app. There is no meal kit that shows up at dusk. There is a table. And there is everyone who worked that day sitting down to it together. Quick pause before we keep going. I'm now live on Spotify, so if you'd rather have this kind of thing in your ears while you're driving or folding laundry yourself, come find the show over there and follow along. Now, back to the countdown. Number 14. Cutting hay. Long before a hayfield is a hayfield, it is a wall of green that has to come down, and in many Amish communities, that still means a scythe swinging in a steady rhythm, or a mower pulled by a team of horses instead of a diesel engine. Researchers tracking one Amish man during hay season recorded him logging over 50,000 steps in a single day, walking behind 5 draft horses for what worked out to roughly 25 miles, smoothing and working the ground as he went. Now think about the modern version of that effort. An entire industry of stationary bikes and rowing machines exists to simulate, in an air-conditioned room, the exertion a hayfield used to hand out for free. Quick pause, one breath only before we get to number 13. I'm now live on Spotify, so if you would rather listen to stories like this one on your commute, doing dishes, or out on a walk of your own, you can find the show there and follow along. All right, back to the list. Number 13. Splitting and hauling wood. A house heated by a wood stove does not warm itself. Someone has to fell the tree or buy the log, split it down to a size that will fit through an iron door, stack it so the wind can dry it, and haul armloads of it in through an Ohio winter or a Pennsylvania one. Every single day, the temperature demands it. The trick handed down in these families is simple. Split more than you think you need in the fall, because a cold snap does not wait for you to catch up. Do it before the ground freezes, not after. A modern furnace does the same job at the press of a thermostat. The wood pile did it at the cost of an aching back, and as it turns out, a body that never had the chance to go soft. Number 12. Plowing and planting behind a team of horses instead of a tractor seat. Anyone who has driven a modern tractor knows it is largely a matter of steering and watching gauges. Walking a plow is different. The farmer is on his feet the entire time, guiding the blade through resistant earth, adjusting for rock and root for hours, row after row. Old order families that still farm this way are, without any of them framing it this way, walking the equivalent of several miles for every acre turned. A commercial gym sells a stair-climbing machine to reproduce in 15-minute intervals, roughly what a spring planting season handed a farmer for free, 6 days a week for a month. Number 11. The garden, and then the canning that follows it. This is not a raised bed with a few tomato plants. This is rows long enough to feed a family of 8 or 10 through a winter, hay-o-ed, weeded, and picked on foot, bent at the waist, for entire mornings at a stretch. Then comes canning season, standing over a hot stove for hours at a time, lifting full jars in and out of a water bath, again and again, day after day, until the cellar shelves are lined. The trick is timing. Everything gets put up the same week it peaks, not whenever there is a free afternoon, because a tomato does not wait. There is no meal delivery box arriving on the porch. The pantry is the delivery, built by hand, months in advance. Number 10. Churning butter by hand. Cream goes into a crock or a barrel churn, and someone, often a child old enough to be given the job, works a dasher up and down, for what can be 20 minutes or considerably longer, until the fat finally separates from the buttermilk. There is a trick to it passed down through the motion itself, steady and rhythmic, never rushed, because rushing just splashes cream everywhere without speeding up the chemistry. A stand mixer does the same job today in under 5 minutes, plugged into a wall. The churn did it with an arm and a shoulder, and nobody thought to call it a workout. Number 9. Hauling and pumping water by hand. Many old order homes still draw water from a hand pump rather than a tap, which means every load of dishes, every bath, every pot for the stove starts with someone working a pump handle and then carrying full buckets, often more than one trip, often uphill from the well to the kitchen. It sounds small until you multiply it by every day of every year of an entire life. Modern plumbing erased that motion so completely, most people never think about it. The Amish version of running water still runs. It just runs through a person first. Number 8. Wash day. In many Amish homes, laundry still goes through a hand crank or gas-powered wringer washer rather than an electric one, and from there, every piece gets carried out and hung on a line, wet and heavy, pinned up one item at a time, then taken back down hours later when it has dried stiff in the sun and wind. The memory trigger here writes itself, the snap of a wet sheet catching the wind, the particular smell of laundry that has spent an afternoon outside instead of in a dryer drum. The trick is reading the sky. Wash goes out early enough to dry before evening damp sets back in. A modern dryer finishes a load in under an hour, without anyone leaving the house. Wash day used to take the whole day and the whole body with it. Number 7. The treadle sewing machine. With no electricity in the home, the sewing machine, still common in many Amish households, runs on a foot-operated treadle, a flat pedal rocked back and forth by the sewer's own leg to turn the wheel and drive the needle. An afternoon spent making or mending a family's clothing is also quietly, An afternoon of steady leg work nobody would think to log as exercise. A modern machine plugs into the wall and needs nothing from the body below the hands. The treadle needed the whole leg, every single stitch. Number 6. No television, no screens, no evenings spent sitting in front of a glowing box. In old-order households, evenings after chores are typically filled with handwork instead, mending, quilting, whittling, reading by lamplight, conversation. None of it counts as exercise the way a treadmill does, but none of it is sitting motionless for hours either, the way a modern evening of streaming tends to be. The loss here is not dramatic, it is just quiet. Nobody decided to trade the porch and the handwork for a couch and a screen all at once. It happened one convenience, one glowing rectangle, at a time. Before we get to number 5, if a grandparent or great-grandparent in your own family lived anything close to this, hauling water, hanging wash, walking instead of driving, hit subscribe. You already know this channel is yours. All right, back to the countdown. Number 5. The barn raising. When a family needs a barn, the wider community shows up, sometimes over 100 people, and in a single day, they frame it, raise it, and close it in, entirely by hand, entirely on foot, moving lumber and beams that machines would lift anywhere else. It is one of the most physically demanding days most of these men will have all year, and it is also one of the most joyful because it is done shoulder to shoulder with neighbors, rather than alone. There is no gym class that replicates 100 people building something real together in a single afternoon. The barn raising is the community's answer to the question, a treadmill can only ask one person at a time. Number 4. The horse and buggy for nearly everywhere the day requires going. Even with the buggy doing the traveling, getting to it, hitching the horse, unloading at the other end, and covering the last stretch on foot adds up across a week in ways a car simply removes. A car door closes behind you, and the walking is over. A buggy still asks something of the person riding in it before and after every single trip. Number 3. Walking to a one-room schoolhouse. Amish children in most communities still walk to school, often close to a mile each way, rain or shine, rather than boarding a bus at the end of the driveway. It is not framed as fitness. It is just how a child gets to school. Over a school year, that is somewhere close to 200 round trips on foot, built into childhood so early that by the time these children are adults, walking a mile is not exercise. It is simply Tuesday. Number 2. Children given real chores from a very young age. Long before adolescence, Amish children are typically feeding animals, gathering eggs, helping in the garden, carrying wood, work sized to their age, but real work all the same. When researchers studied Amish children specifically, they found the same pattern as the adults: high activity, low rates of overweight, no age-related dip in movement between early childhood and adulthood, the way researchers usually expect to see. The habit is not adopted later in life like a New Year's resolution. It is simply what a body has always known how to do, because nobody ever had the chance to unlearn it. Number 1. Milking by hand before sunrise, the same barn we opened in. Twice a day. Every day. No day off for a holiday or a headache. The cows still need milking. And in the more traditional old-order homes, that still means bare hands and a stool, not a machine. It is repetitive, it is physical, and it happens whether the milker feels like it or not, which turns out to be the entire secret, hiding in plain sight. Not a food, not a supplement, not a trick you can buy. Just a life built so that moving was never a decision anyone had to make twice a day, every day, for an entire lifetime. Here is the part worth sitting with. Nobody in the mainstream world woke up one morning and decided to trade away 18,000 steps a day. It happened slowly, and mostly for good reason. A car meant a farmer did not have to walk 5 miles to town and back. A washing machine meant a mother got her Tuesday afternoon back. An electric churn, a riding mower, a furnace with a thermostat. Each one solved a real problem. And each one, without anyone intending it, quietly removed a little more of the walking, lifting, and standing a body used to do without being asked. None of that was a mistake. Nobody should feel foolish for owning a dryer or driving to work. That is not the point of this. The point is that all of it added up to something nobody was tracking at the time, a decline researchers can now measure, from something close to 18,000 steps down to about 5,000, across not much more than a century. Old order Amish communities did not resist convenience out of stubbornness. Many of them will tell you plainly that the goal was never fitness at all. It was keeping a certain kind of shared, unhurried, communal life intact. A life where a barn gets raised by 100 hands and a harvest gets shared across a dozen families. The steps were never the point. The steps were just what that life happened to require. They never counted their steps. Their days counted them instead. And maybe that is the quiet thing we traded away without meaning to. Not the walking for its own sake, but a life shaped enough by other people and by real work that the walking simply came along with it. If your grandparents hauled water, hung wash on a line, or walked farther in a single day than you might walk in a week, they were not doing anything special by their own accounting. It was just Tuesday, the same as it still is for an Amish family today. But it was real, and it was good, and you are not foolish for missing something you may never have even lived yourself, just heard about, just felt the edges of in an old photograph, or a story passed down at a kitchen table. I still hang my own wash outside sometimes, even though I own a dryer, just for the way it smells afterward. And I could not fully explain why, if you asked me. Maybe you have something like that too, some habit, some memory, some cost passed down. If this kind of story is one you want to keep hearing, I am now live on Spotify as well, so find the show there if you would rather listen than watch. And here is the question I would love to see in the comments. What is the one thing your grandparents did the hard way that you still catch yourself missing? Tell me. I read every one.